Good evening, everyone, and welcome, galleries, councillors and staff. I'll open the meeting with the acknowledgement of country. Richmond Valley Council recognises the people of the Bundjalung Nations as custodians and traditional owners of this land, and we value and appreciate the continuing culture connections to lands, their living culture and the unique role in the life of this region in the past, present and future. Mr General Manager, could you read the prayer, please?
Dear Lord, we meet to serve our community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly and to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognise our responsibility to the past and the future and the rights and needs of both individuals and community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations and on our efforts here today. May we act wisely and well. Amen.
Amen. Councillors, we've had requests for public access to be included in this extraordinary meeting. It's not usually on the agenda, and the General Manager and I have okayed that, but we do need a council resolution to have it included, and I will move that council includes public access on the agenda at this extraordinary meeting, if I can get a second.
Second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Morrissey. As the mover, I just think when we get requests, we like to have, we welcome and like to have our gallery and our community attend meetings. So I will be supporting it, of course, as I moved it. And also there are sometimes I've seen other councils when they've denied it, they've been accused of gagging their community. That's something the Richmond Valley Council does not do. So is there any speaker against it? Councillor Morrissey as second, would you like to speak?
I think you've said it all, Mr Mayor.
I'll put that motion then. All those in favour? Carried. So tonight, councillors, we have 5 requests, and I believe all speakers have been made aware of the guidelines for public access. Mr General Manager?
Yes, I have. Yes.
Thank you. So tonight I'd like to welcome Mrs Pat Badstow, who will be speaking on item 5.1, Draft Community Strategic Plan and Draft Delivery Program 2023 to 25, Incinerator and Rail Trail. Welcome, Ms Badstow. When you're ready, please come out to the lectern. Just take your time, and when you're ready, please start. You're aware of the guidelines that I think were sent through to you on the time limits, and so after 4 minutes there will be a bell ring, and then that'll give you a minute to wrap up the 5 minutes.
I'm speaking on behalf of Ern Bright, who also put his name down today, but he's left me to do the speaking on his behalf for both of us during that time frame. For the both said, they're both 8 minutes
Okay.
time, if that's okay with
That's
everybody.
all fine? Okay. Thank you very much. When you're ready. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Pat Bastow and Ern Bright. We've got the property there at 97 Norton's Gap Road, which is about 1k from town, which is not very far. As farmers, we're cattle farmers, we're only new to town, who just want to have healthy animals, and putting an incinerator to burn here day and night, causing farming here in Casino and beyond, will destroy our town. It will destroy the beef capital of Australia itself, as you cannot sell contaminated meat, milk or dairy. Cropping will also be affected. Cows eat the grass, and it cannot be sold to anyone. Even in the backyard, children in playgrounds, schools, contaminated with poisonous air and deposits on the grass from the incinerator. The fly ash left to bury, contaminated in the area, can fly up to 30 to 50 kilometres. The wetlands near our area, there in Queensland Road, will be destroyed, as well as all the native animals, as the wind will cover the whole area with dioxins, destroying our wetlands and native animals, poisoning their waters forever. We can't let that happen. Where you, the council, wants to put it within 900 metres of the town's water supply and high school, those poor children will have multiple health issues in future. if you allow the incinerator to be built there or anywhere in Casino. The dioxins and poisonous gases which cannot be stopped and proven without a doubt, such as in Europe, has caused high levels of cancer, COPD and multiple health issues, and that's why they want them stopped in Europe. We can create more jobs in a greener environment. Recycling is a start, or using alternative areas such as bacteria-eating plastic, using hemp as such examples. They need to be spend more money on investing in long-term alternatives instead of plastics and burning rubbish. We can go and look at stopping plastics altogether and using other ideas. The government is offering up more dollars and having a recycling facility instead of being unable to drink our water, either town water or tank water, as it will be polluted. The roads bringing in the rubbish will be destroyed, with heavy trucks. Who is paying for that? And the people living up in that area, including a high area of Aboriginal, disabled, need not suffer from this incinerator at all, with the noise of traffic and quality of air and water. We have a moral responsibility looking after this lower social, economical and disadvantaged people. We need to look after our future, our kids of today and tomorrow, our land, and once the air, land and water is poisoned, our children will have nothing left. As adults, we need to look after the generations to come for all of us, our children and our grandchildren in the years to come. Who would want to come to a town, a casino in a polluted town? Who would want to buy polluted land in the future? Who would want to come here on a holiday in a polluted town? No one. Will not be known as the beef capital of Australia as we are known now. Only the town that is polluted, and to keep away such as a town that was deserted years ago by asbestos and people dying of different cancers. Do we want to be known like that? We cannot be known as a town of great, we can be known as a town of great ideas, forward, innovative mayor and councillors. A fantastic councillor who listens to the people themselves, who upon leaving a fantastic legacy and a greener place to live for everyone in the future. We can all do this. And people who want to come here on a holiday as a great holiday and the best beef and capital farming of northern New South Wales. Not a destination, not to be able to eat the meat or drink the water or bring your own oxygen tank. And also a casino as a dumping ground for other people's rubbish in New South Wales. Until council puts it in writing that they are definitely not going ahead with the incinerator and not allowing other companies to put in application for the incinerator to be approved, we can only assume it's still going ahead unless it's in writing by council and the councillors. What I want to talk about the rail trail.
Go ahead.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
I'm extremely regarding the rail trail. I'm happy with the rail trail is going ahead. I don't have an issue with that whatsoever. But what I am concerned is that a lack of council's maintenance of all the pipelines. They haven't been cleaned out in over 12 years, causing massive growth of grasses and rubbish, blocking the water from escaping during flood times. We have lost over 20 head of cattle during the floods because the water went through our property, hit the rail trail and bounced back. It caused massive damage to our property, our fences and cattle yards. Other council officers has also confirmed this as the water went through with the dams. It's up to the council to maintain the pipes and future rail trail. Rubbish bins should be supplied along the rail trail, and council can apply for extra funding for this project to maintain the rail trail, pipes and for future flooding, which will happen in the next few years. Hopefully not, but you know, long term. The rail trail pipes should be maintained annually before the wet season so water can escape and not to be blocked by the rail trail and bounce back onto all the different farming areas and houses along that area. Rubbish bins should be supplied along the rail trail as people are generally lazy and use the rail trail as dumping trips. Council can increase rates for everyone in Casino Precinct to cover a free tip for all local residents. It can be used for more jobs in Casino Precinct and used as a recycling for future waste and green waste, and everyone, instead of dumping illegal dumping, make Casino look like a dump site, which could happen along the rail trail. There is free trips free tips in Queensland now, and people use them for recycling paper, green material, battery, boxes, etc. It will help us to maintain a greener and care for our planet and leave it a better for future and more jobs in our town. By charging an extra $20 a year on top of our rates, that will cover for all the residents free dumping in casino tips. And it could be covered by our rates every year by every resident, and I can't see why it can't. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Mr General Manager, would you like to make any comments about the rail trail with the future of the maintenance in there, please? Or
Oh, look, probably the main point, I'd just, you know, the 12 years drains haven't been maintained. That corridor was actually the responsibility of the New South Wales Government, ARTC, so it hasn't been our responsibility until the last 12, 18 months that we now have access to that corridor, obviously to initially clear the corridor and now build the rail trail. As we move through that project, I'm sure that our teams will clear drains that are existent along that corridor. So we'll certainly be doing that. Probably just a comment on, and not to get into the detail, but just around free tips. I think there is no such thing as a free tip. Someone ends up paying, as you've suggested. I agree with that. But I think the point, some of the materials that you use, which I think I'll take the opportunity, because we need every opportunity we can to educate our community, that there is already an opportunity at our transfer stations, recycling facilities, to recycle a lot of those products. They're called a CRC, Community Recycling Centre, where you can take some of those wastes to that recycling centre where they do get recycled, so things like batteries and chemicals and those things. So there's a range of products available, and I'll certainly suggest that to our team to do some follow-up education on that front. So I think there's a couple of comments on a couple of things. There's obviously a lot in that to absorb, but yeah, thank you.
thank you. Would you take any questions from councillors if they have any
Yes,
questions?
just one more question. In regarding to the incinerator, a lot of people in the casino community do not have access to computers or computer literate because they're elderly. And instead of asking for submissions regarding the incinerator, which council will receive a lot more comeback from the public, if everybody received a letter and asking what they thought by letter and to a reply back to council, because not everybody can reply by Facebook or, you know, computers, or, you know, not having access to it at all. And a lot of people are elderly and they need to count too.
There was, in the consultation time, it wasn't only by email, there was many, many ways of the community was engaged for consultation. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Has any councillors got any questions? No, thanks very much for your presentation. So we're on to request 3, is that correct? Our next request is Ms Jill Lyons on item 5.1, Draft Community Strategic Plan 2045-50 and Draft Delivery Program 2023-25. Welcome, Ms Lyons.
Thank you for allowing me to address Council on the following item. 5.1, Draft Community Strategic Plan 2040 and Draft Delivery Program 2023-25. But my focus is on the Draft Community Strategic Plan 2040. On the whole, this draft plan has lots of positives, and Council should be congratulated on this plan. But even though there is a little to fault, I do have serious concerns surrounding Objective 9 of the plan, which reflects Council's current position on energy from waste. That includes 1, the Council acknowledges the Regional Jobs Precinct site that has been identified by the New South Wales Government as a permissible state for an EFW, subject to approval and consultation with community and environmental regulators to obtain a social licence for any facility. And 2, that RVC has no commitment to building an energy from waste facility. Whilst council, whilst acknowledging the Richmond Valley Jobs Precinct being identified as a possible site, consider supporting the community and writing to the state government to inform them of the concerns to this facility being built here. Point 2, interesting in the way that council states they have no commitment to building a waste facility, but this is somewhat disingenuous statement as it doesn't preclude council from encouraging commercial interests to building one here. Surely, being our elected representatives, you would want to learn, gain an understanding of why there is so much community concern. 60 submissions out of a total of 66 have all expressed concern at the possibility of council even just considering a facility like this in our town, in our beautiful Richmond Valley. Surely this number of submissions alone would inspire each of you sitting here tonight to actually want to know why. What has compelled all of these people to put their time and effort, energy to writing a submission on the same topic, the same toxic incinerator? If council is a representative voice for the people, then shouldn't that include hearing both sides, so council is better informed and better able to make a decision knowing all the detail, the positives along with the negatives? Why should Casino or any other regional town have to deal with waste in such a toxic manner as this? There are better ways, cleaner ways, far more sustainable ways to dispose of waste. If you bother to make the time, I would hope make the time to meet with representatives from the local group, Ravi, Residents Against the Richmond Valley Incinerator. I'm sure that they'll be able to help inform you of all the possible negatives a facility such as this will impact on everything we hold dear. We call ourselves the beef capital. We celebrate Beef Week. How do we explain that when we have an incinerator in town and nobody wants to use our product? So I think it would be really good to form a meeting to learn the negatives, the facilities this will impact, and also to inform you of the sustainably far better ways to dispose of waste. So let's work together. Let's get that knowledge and work towards a much better outcome that will in the end complement and work well with this draft strategic plan. And let's make it one we can all be proud of, not just now, but well into the future, way past 2040. Thank you.
Would you take questions? Any questions, Ms. Lyon? No? Thank you for your attendance. Thank you. Speaker number 4 tonight is Mrs. Marie Beek, Residents Against the Richmond Valley Incinerator, item 5.1, Draft Community Strategic Plan 2040 and the Delivery Program 2023 to 2025. Welcome, Mrs. Beek. When you're ready, please start.
It's interesting to hear Jill and Pat about the what is possibly, well, in fact, the enormity of what could happen to our valley, our agriculture, our everything. And Dr. Beek, Uriam will talk about health, of course. But what interests me in particular is the 60 submissions that were definitely against anything to do with energy from waste, and what you're going to do with those submissions. I mean, it's one thing to sort of put them aside and say you've done that. It's another thing to read them solidly and to investigate yourselves what we've all read. I mean, I didn't know very much about energy from waste facilities until recent times when I heard that the concept was something that the council had in the back of its mind or had investigated in the past. So when I saw your objective 9, a little bit like Jill, I thought what we need here is something very definite. Now, it's one thing for you to say that you have no commitment to building an energy from waste facility, but what I would like you to say, and I think that the other speakers would as well, is that you change that. I'm asking for an amendment that you have a commitment neither to build nor support the building of an energy from waste facility in the Richmond Valley. That's a different form. It's stronger, it's definite, and like Pat said, if you put that together in your plan, in your strategic plan going forward, people would know exactly what you feel. At the moment, you use the word current 3 times in your document, and I'm a little bit suspicious, with apologies, that current, when does current stop and future start? Because you can say currently you have no commitment to building an energy from waste facility, but you know you have state permission. You've been designated as a possible place if you have social licence and a few other things as well. Now, the social licence, if you look at 60 bits of evidence, isn't there. And if you look at all the people we speak to, as a member of Ravi, I've spoken to quite a few people and had them sign petitions, which we're amassing for the future just in case current becomes future for you. There's many, many people in the town. I haven't seen a person, I haven't spoken to a person, and I don't think anyone here has, who is for this idea, because they focus on health, they focus on the agriculture, they focus on everything else. And in the world, if you read online all of the investigations around the world, there are a lot of places that are trying to kill these facilities. They don't like them. There's an interesting article recently about China. You know, in China, it's not really palatable to demonstrate. But people in some places in China are actually demonstrating, putting their lives on the line in a way, in order to not have something built in their town. And Europe's the same, England's the same. You read about that and you wouldn't want one here. And I know for a fact people in Tarago have had 600 submissions to the government, not in support, believe me, not in support of what an entity called Veolia is trying to. There's a DA there. We haven't got a DA here, but there's one there. Now, what interests me, why am I concerned about words? Because I used to be an English teacher, for one thing, and I'm pretty keen on what's the written word. And if you say there's no commitment currently, then I worry that it's not definite enough. And I worry because in the past, some of you went to Japan and produced a very solid report which you presented to the Council in March 2019, and that report thought that energy from waste solutions were great. You even say here, a detailed report is being prepared to inform the next steps, this is you, I'm quoting you, in pursuing the introduction of EFW to the northern rivers of New South Wales. Now that doesn't sound to me like a group of people who aren't moderately keen. It's 4 years ago, it's not that long ago. This does not look like no commitment to building an energy from waste facility, to me.
Mrs. Beak, your time's expired. I don't know if you heard the 4-minute bell, but it did go.
Didn't.
I'll give you about 15 seconds just to wrap
15
up.
seconds. So my point is, do something in your writing there to amend the little bit that looks fuzzy. It's not defined enough. I'd like to see you say that the Richmond Valley Council has a commitment neither to build nor support the building of. It's one thing for you not to build it, but you might support someone else building it, like somebody from Japan or France or anywhere. We don't want you to support the building of an energy from waste facility, and we don't want you to build one yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Will you take questions if there's any?
Yes, I'll take
Any questions? No, thanks very much for your presentation. I'm sorry, that's councillors' questions. It's not the gallery. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is number 5, Dr. Julian Beak. Item 5.1, Draft Community Strategic Plan 2040 and Draft Delivery Program 2023-25. Welcome, Doctor. When you're ready, please start. Same, we'll try to ring that bill a bit louder at the 4-minute mark. So
Thank you for
Thank
allowing me the opportunity to speak here tonight. My name's Urian Beek. I came here in 1980 and I joined the Casino Medical Centre by invitation. I hold an honours degree in science, a Master of Physics, also qualified in obstetrics. I'm a VMO at Lismore-based hospital as an obstetrician, as a GP obstetrician. Prior to 1976, I was working at BHP in Port Kembla as an industrial chemist, looking at the industrial pollution, air pollution, coal mines and air pollution in collieries and coal mines. So I'm well versed in public hygiene and public health in industry. I wish to point out that these waste to energy incinerators constitute a significant and unacceptable risk to human health. A typical incinerator can consume about 180,000 tonnes of waste a year. EPA figures indicate that that waste is about 22% carbon. So when you look that up, the 180,000 tonnes is made of about 39,000 tonnes of carbon. And when you burn that, you end up about 140,000 tonnes of carbon dioxide, greenhouse gas. Most incinerators will convert that sort of material to about 25% ash. So you end up with about another 36,000 tonnes of ash. So in all, 180,000 tonnes of waste is converted to about 181,000 tonnes of waste. You've actually produced more waste than we started off with, which is not commonly realised. Now, the waste, some of it's toxic gaseous material goes up the chimney, and some of it's ash. The ash is in two parts, fine ash and sort of particulate ash or lumpy ash or bottom ash. The stuff that goes out the chimney contains dioxin, furans, oxides of nitrogen, chlorine, oxides of sulphur, and so on. They're all very, very toxic gases and agents. And particulate matter as well. No amount of filtering will filter out those agents. All filters are not totally efficient. There will be leakage as it goes on. The ash, the fine ash, has to be stored. At the moment, there are no acceptable means of storing ash from incinerators that's perfectly safe. It's like radioactive waste. No one can agree where to store it and how to store it. The stuff that goes out of the chimney, of course, ends up in the food chain. It ends up on the ground, on the grass. The cows eat the grass. In the rivers, the water supply, for example, the fish. We advise pregnant women not to eat or fish from certain areas because of contamination. That's a common sort of a medical health issue. These substances end up in the food chain, inevitably. And the other thing is, they are called forever chemicals. These chemicals do not deteriorate. They are indestructible. They accumulate in your body like lead. And we find this out in, say, Mount Isa and in Broken Hill. They accumulate until they produce their toxic effects years down the track. Dioxanes and other things like that are absorbed by children and the unborn child, preferentially, because they grow fast. So these chemicals go into their bloodstream and they stay there. And in the unborn children, we find we get birth defects with dioxanes and furans. Well documented worldwide. In younger children, we end up with leukemias. Again, we get pockets of leukemias in areas where these gases are emitted. In adults, we get lung diseases. The particulate matter that goes out the chimney is of a very small size. You breathe it in, but you don't breathe it out. It stays in your lungs and causes silicosis. We get the same in coal mines. They call it pneumoconiosis. We get it in Caesar stone workers, those new sort of kitchen top stuff where they get silicosis from that material. In short, I think it behoves the council, the Richmond Valley Council, to consider not setting up an incinerator like this and destroying the pristine nature of our area. I think that's my plea is we don't go ahead with this sort of incinerator in an area like Casino. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation. Any questions from councillors? No? Thank you very much, and to all the presenters tonight, please have a safe trip home.
Thank you. You want this?
Councillors, the next item on our agenda is item apologies. We have a full house. Declarations of interest. Has any councillors got any declarations? Mr General Manager, have you received any?
No declarations received, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. We are now on page 6, General Manager's Reports, 5.1, Draft Community Strategic Plan 2040 and Draft Delivery Program 2023 to 25. Could I get a mover, please? Councillor McGillen. Seconder.
Second.
Councillor Cornish. Councillor McGillen. You're right. Councillor Cornish.
Just a quick comment in regard to the CSP. It's noted that Council has worked tirelessly compiling a clear direction for the Richmond Valley Council over the next 10 years, all whilst navigating the aftermath of the last 12 months. We've approached the community through various forms of communication and have listened to their thoughts and suggestions. Council acknowledges the community for their participation along with the 66 written submissions. It's clear that the community hold the natural resource and biodiversity of our valley at a high regard, evident through the common theme of environmental related issues. Council has prioritised 12 key points appropriately, with the obvious main focus to not only rebuild our government area to its previous standard, but to continue to provide an attractive place for families to live and work. I'd like to congratulate Council staff for a thorough and concise document setting the Richmond Valley in good stead for the next 10 years.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other speakers? Councillor Hayes.
Just a question around the feedback and the submissions. There's a note in there that the World Heritage, where we had it over here, there was one on a query from the government agency regarding the location of the. Where is it? The
Mr.
5
General
square
Manager.
kilometres. Said it was identified on a map. But,
Did you get the question? Where is it?
yeah, where is it?
I'll ask the question myself.
Isn't it the wetlands down near the Bunga? Aren't they world? Sorry, is it World Heritage listed?
It says here,
Yep.
one query from a government agency regarding the location of the local World Heritage area referenced in the plan. In the plan there's somewhere it says there's 5 square kilometres of it, so it's not much. And it says it's been referenced on a plan somewhere for the Northern Rivers strategic plan.
Yeah, so the query is on where the World Heritage Area referenced in the plan is located, and it came from the Gondwana Rainforest of Australia through the National Parks and Wildlife Service. So we've referred that to our sustainability team for investigation, and we'll get back to them directly, and obviously we'll get back to you directly as well. It is identified, this says in the North Coast Regional Plan. Not sure whether Director Jones has a bit more information on that one.
Through you, Mr Mayor, not at this point in time. I don't want to give you the incorrect information, Councillor. There are a number of different wetland listings. There's UNESCO listings, migratory bird wetland listings, there's World Heritage listings for wetlands. I don't want to give you the wrong information, so we'll get that and confirm.
Thank you.
And just while I'm going, I noticed in those submissions there was very few from down the lower river area, so they must be happy with what's going on. I think there was only 2 that I could count out there. So and the fact that the Broadwater Bridge was mentioned in there, I think is huge for our area down there. Once it's back up and running and open to its full potential, it'll make a difference to that area. So that's a good thing to have in there.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Deegan.
Yes, so I would like to, I guess, follow on from the speakers tonight and, just comment on some of the submissions. So, I thank the 4 speakers that we've had for tonight and the 60 people who did make submissions. So, on page 41 of the strategic plan, does ask the plan, is energy from waste part of our part of our future, and that is one of the questions that we've put out to the community. And it goes on to say there's a lot of opinions about energy from waste in the Richmond Valley, and council has been keeping an open mind. But it's clear from the feedback that we've received that the community's answer to the question about is energy from waste part of our future, the clear message that we as councillors are receiving is no. We've had 60 people take the time to write the submissions. We've had 4 people come here tonight. We haven't had a single person make comment that they do support this. My view is it would be irresponsible for us to ignore the views of the community in moving forward and just going with the strategic plan as it is, and particularly when we also consider that the New South Wales Environmental Protection Authority, the body that sets environmental standards in New South Wales, has clearly indicated that these facilities should not be in highly populated areas such as Sydney, and raises health concerns around why that would be the case. So I guess based on that information, I would like to put forward an amendment. So just for item 3, just to change the wording to, so the first word, just changing the first word to, instead of endorses, just change it to amends, and and instead of as presented at the end, just to state that council opposes energy from waste in the Richmond Valley. Yeah, I guess to state that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So I have an amendment moved by Councillor Deegan. We've got a seconder, please. Councillor McGillen. Would you like to speak to the amendment?
I would, I guess, just to confirm. Sorry.
Yeah, you can still second. Councillor McGillen, you know you are the mover of the motion, and you're also seconding the amendment. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so I don't have anything to add other than what I've already said.
Thank you. Councillor McGillen as the seconder.
Yes, I agree with what our guests and what the other 60 other people have also said. I just believe it's something that our community just doesn't want. Our Richmond Valley doesn't want to have the incinerator and all the toxics that's going to go with it. It's just, I know that they haven't actually said that there's anywhere it's going to be placed, where they're going to set the incinerator up. So I'd like to actually have it totally moved off the agenda altogether.
Thank you. Any other councillors?
I'm speaking against the amendment. If, and there is no commitment, if there was to be a proposal put forward, I mean, there's clearly not enough fuel here in the Richmond, in the Northern Rivers. There was never, ever any intention of taking helping, like taking it from Sydney or anywhere else. It was an option to give council and other councils the opportunity to dispose of their waste and not just keep putting it into landfill. If there was a proposal, it will go out to full consultation, public consultation. I'm glad that I'm always glad when we get submissions, but I don't feel that 60 is representative of our population. And as there is no commitment, and I know that full community consultation will occur, if anything comes about, I just let sleeping dogs lie, because I experienced so much ill feeling and saw a lot of, turmoil occurring within our community at the election, pre-election. I won't be responsible for stirring that up when there may not be a reason, and if a reason comes around, the community will be fully consulted.
Councillor Hayes.
Yeah, I'm going to speak against the amendment as well. Look, I think it's irresponsible of us to be putting 9,000 tonnes of rubbish into landfill continuously year on, and we can't keep doing it. We've got to find another solution. Whether this incinerator is the solution or not, we don't know. But when an opportunity comes along that we can look at it and we can go out to community consultation about the actual application, I think we need to, like Councillor Humphrey said, just let it lie until it happens. We've got no commitment in there whatsoever to go any further forward with this thing, other than where we are at this point in time, which we've basically taken on some information, we've listened, and we have not committed to do anything. I really don't think we need to change that recommendation whatsoever.
Councillor Morris.
Through you, Mr Mayor, can I just ask a couple of questions just to verify a couple of things, please?
Yes.
In the Community Strategic Plan, it has population 23,589, so that'd be right? Yep. And do we know how many people are on the electoral roll? Is it around 16,000 for the Richmond Valley Council?
Well, I guess 14 to 15.
14 to 15?
That's not, don't hold me to that, but that's roughly. Population around 23.
Yep.
So, just using the figures on page, what are we? It's the page headed about the Richmond Valley, so right at the front of the CSP. Under 18 years is 22%. So about a fifth of 23,500 is about 5,000. So you're looking at over 18. Quick maths on the fly, about 18,000.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I'm happy for my CFO to correct me on that if I got it wrong.
So we've got 66 submissions and 48 of them for residents of the Richmond Valley. Is that right in the report?
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other speakers? This is also, we're also having input into the motion as well as the amendment, because we will put the amendment and then if it's successful it will become the motion. So I'm going to speak on the whole strategic plan and draft delivery program, and then I will talk about the energy from waste, come back to it. Firstly, it was raised about all the councillors should read the copy of the submissions. Every councillor was supplied a copy of a submission. It wasn't just a summary that's in the report. I support the major initiatives in the Community Strategic Plan. On page 7, and for those out in the community who are viewing this, the major initiatives of the plan include completing the Richmond Valley's flood recovery process, activating the regional job precinct, securing long-term water supplies for Casino and the Mid-Richmond, unlocking new residential development sites, continuing to strengthen the diversity of the local economy for further growth in tourism and service industries, delivering wide-scale community greening programs with 15,000 additional shade trees by 2040, and replacing major infrastructure, including the new $60 million sewage treatment plant for Casino and completion of Stage 2 of the Evans Head STP. And then the last item will be mentioned in a minute. Also in the delivery priorities on page 7, they will focus on 3 key areas: finishing the synergy projects that are currently underway, continuing to fix flood-damaged infrastructure and support flood recovery, and commencing some of the major initiatives for the future. If we now go over to page 8, some of the identified projects on page 8 are in the delivery program: finishing the regional job precinct master plan and supporting studies, completing place plans for the mid-Richmond communities to guide future growth and improvements, completing the Casino Memorial Pool and upgrade the Casino Showground upgrade, finalising designs to rebuild the Richmond Terrace at Corrockeye, completing the Casino Bentley section of the Northern Rivers Rail Trail, and finalising designs for the Mid-Richmond's 3 Villages Cycleway, fixing the Norton's Gap and Bentley Road landslips, continuing to upgrade the Woodburn Casino Road, and continuing habitat restoration programs and launching the community greening program, commencing Stage 2 of the Evans Head sewer treatment plant, and identifying preferred options for Casino's future water security. Councillor, as mentioned, there are 2 items mostly identified in our speakers spoke on tonight. One is the rail trail, and I think the decision on reinstating lines in some of the submissions was made almost 20 years ago, when the rail service ceased from Casino to Moolumbar on the branch line, and there is no intention for them to be reinstated by either Labor or coalition governments. And I think the rail trail is the best option, and this issue is addressed on page 9 of the agenda. Councillors, with the energy from waste, I think Councillor Morrissey made a very valid point of how many people in our community actually put in a submission. But in saying that, the world has a waste problem, not only Richmond Valley. And what options are out there, I believe, should be all on the table. Council has not made a commitment to an energy from waste, but I believe it needs to stay on the table with all other options. And it is an evolving matter, and there are technologies being released every day. Well, not every day, but they're investigated every day, and they will come online in the future because it's a big issue. And I'm very pleased that the energy from waste is addressed in protecting our unique environment, Objective 9 in the CSP, transition to a circular economy, and we'd all love to see that occur. But just at present, that is not occurring anywhere in the world. And that's on page 40 and 41. And I'm also pleased it has been included in the community strategic plan, because in the past there's been a lot of misinformation on energy from waste facilities, which was misleading to our community. And I have got many examples of that, especially on Facebook. And Objective 9 makes it clear and factual, the statement on Council's future waste management endeavours, and I will read the last paragraph of Objective 9. Because there are so many unknowns in this scenario, Council has no commitment to building an energy from waste facility and continue to consider all options for residual waste. This includes looking at the possibility of a second landfill site within the valley, and just bear in mind, Europe is stopping burying waste in landfills. That very soon. So they'll be looking at other options too, because there is research on other parameters that says landfills are more harmful in the environment than energy from waste facilities. As well as, and back to the community strategic plan, as well as exploring other technologies and processes. End of quote. But I must say, there is currently promising developments for the Richmond Valley in waste management, and they will come out as we progress those opportunities. So, councillors, I can't support the amendment. As I said, I believe all options should be on the table. There is no commitment for council to construct one of these facilities, and as Councillor Humphrey said, if, and it's a big if, there was ever one to be built, there would have to be, or proposal to be built, there would have to be intense community consultation, and I believe that's where council would listen to that consultation and make a decision whether they supported one or not. Not now, when it's premature, in my belief. Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor McGillen, you will write a reply. You will be speaking against your amendment that you seconded, but most probably. Would you like a right of reply to the motion that you moved? Right? Okay. I'll now put the amendment first. All those in favour of the amendment, please raise your hand. 2 against. 7 against. 5 against to make the 7, sorry. It's been a long week. Had a 10-hour drive from Parkes last night. So I'll now put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimous. Thank you. We now move to page 10, item 6.1 in the organisational services, draft operational plan 2023-2024, including draft financial estimates 2023-2027, draft revenue policy 2023-2024, and draft long-term financial plan 2023 to 2033. Could I get a mover, please?
Moved.
Councillor Cornish, seconder. Councillor Hayes. Councillor Cornish.
Nothing.
Councillor Hayes.
Nothing on that one.
Any other speakers? No one against. So I would take that this will item will most probably will be adopted. So I'd just like to say that tonight we've adopted 4 very important documents for the Richmond Valley. When these, there was extensive consultation with our community in preparing these documents. And I believe that the community, the council, staff and council has listened to that feedback and suggestions from our community, and there was lots of different ways that was achieved. And we've come up with these 4 documents, and on 3 of those documents there has been no submissions, and on the other one I think it was 66 and majority of them were on 2 items. So I think we've got it right. I'm pretty sure we have, because if we hadn't, those people that gave us the feedback would have responded with some submissions. So I always take lack of submissions as a positive. I think the people are supportive of what council is trying to achieve here. And Mr. General Manager, could you please cast on, and I know Councillor Cornish mentioned this, pass on council's thank you to everyone that was involved in preparing the documents. And I, like all councillors and staff, look forward to delivering, being involved in delivering many positive outcomes during the rest of this term of council. So could you please pass that on?
Yes, certainly do that. Thank you.
Councillor Cornish, right, a reply?
No.
No. Well, I'll put that motion then. Carried. No further business, Mr. General Manager. I'd like to thank everyone for showing an interest in their community strategic plans and other documents, and really thank you for taking the time to coming here tonight and address council and putting in a submission. Everyone have a safe trip home, and I will close the meeting. Thanks very much again.